Hey, A, can you hear me? Testing, testing. Hello, hello. Good. So, do I call you A the Veg, or do I call you Adrian, or what do you prefer? Here to talk to us in a second. You want to come on and talk to me? Hey, I can add you right up here. I tried to get Cindy up here. She's joined me a couple of times, but when you come up, you have to mute your YouTube page, or either you hear like feedback, I guess you would call it. I guess it's where your hangouts. Fatso, how are you? Butter my bread if Fatso ain't here. You want to come up and talk, Fatso? Yeah, Fatty, I might be on for a bit. Trying to maybe see where everybody's at, and then guide them towards Ryan's new channel. His other channel got banned, and he's got like 12 subscribers or something to this new one he had to create. And all night last night, there was only like 2 people watching, one person watching. So hopefully we can stream here for a few minutes. And I know Jose was looking for us because he was like subscribing to my channel, and I could see it, the notifications popping up, but I didn't have any way to get up with him. So maybe there'll be some people show up here today, and I can guide them over that way. Were you live this morning, A? I saw that Kratom Bunny was live at Walmart earlier. Funny. That's what I was doing. I was testing my phone because I didn't think it would be that easy to go live with your phone. Wow. You can just like push a button and boom.
Yeah. Careful of that.
Hello?
Hello.
How are you, John?
Real good. Just in the middle of cooking, but I'm hearing an echo.
What?
I'm just taking a break of making something to eat, and I'm hearing an echo.
I don't hear. Can you still hear it?
It's better now.
Okay, good. I have my YouTube page muted.
Oh, okay. I don't know. I didn't know it was on YouTube.
Where's that picture at on your avatar?
Oh, that's that's close by. Oh, a little bit close by. It's in France. It's called the Schlucht Verdon. It's called the Verdon. It's Verdon is a canyon in France, about maybe 200 miles, 300 miles from here, and they turned it into the canyon. They turned it into a sweetwater reservoir many years ago, and that's a bridge that I jumped over. And just up above that, that's that area where I just about became, Querschnittsgelähmt, where I about broke my back. But I mean, it's a really beautiful place because it's a canyon, and they turned it into like a reservoir of fresh water, which is going to be a very important thing.
Water's really pretty. That water's so blue.
Oh yeah, Verdon. Let me look. Verdon Schlucht. It's in English videos of Verdon Schlucht, German Verdon. Oh God, I never understand this with this thing. I hear a puppy.
Yeah, that's my. Hold on a minute. I'll make it hush.
Yeah, if I could get it, I've got it English there. It's called. I'll post it someplace, but I got to check on an email. Gorge. It's the Gorge of Verdon. Yeah. It doesn't look very nice if you can if you get it into I'll put it there the hangouts, just because it's a nice place. It's where we go camp. I've been camping there, and oh gosh, no. Let me look. Gosh, I don't understand this thing. Give me a second here. Why doesn't that work? There, let me try that. That's a leaky. But if you look to the left of that bridge, it's like 15 meters. And like the one year I did go there, just going through France. We've been through France a lot with kids camping and stuff, and we ended up being there for whatever reason. And we were only there for a couple days, and the whole time I was looking at these towny kids jumping from that bridge up there. And I was to the left, if you look, there's this rocky area down there, So I was like, and I'm a wrestler, I'm a pole vaulter, and I'm looking at these kids, and from when you're there, 15 meters is like 30 feet. It's 15 times 45 feet. 3 meter, 1 meter is 3, so 15 is like 45, 50 feet. That's where the bridge is. And I'm looking at these kids, and I'm realizing I'm afraid to do that. So the whole next year, I'm contemplating coming back there and to jump. Anyway, so that's that bridge right there where it's close by it. But then if you take the height of the bridge and you double that up, and you go up onto that, the cliff up there so that's where I just about snapped my back, jumping from like 30 meters, which would be 3 times 9, 3 times 30, so like 100 feet, 90 something feet, 90, 100. Anyway, it was just, I don't know. I just saw that and thought, yeah, nice little memory. But I have an email coming here. Just,
You have a female coming? Really? What'd you say?
Okay, no, I just need to look. Okay, I just wanted to make sure that I didn't have to go into work tomorrow. That's good.
Okay. I'm trying to add someone to my contacts for my Google Plus.
No, I don't know anything about that stuff, gosh.
I think I might have it. All right. I think I got it. Guess you have to follow them too. Now let me try to add him to the Hangout. It's raining here today. Hey, Dee. A rainy day.
Okay. Write that down. Yeah, it's going to be raining here for a few days, but it'll be nice to have some. Boy, let me see. 174 76 75 745. That's better. Okay.
Sorry, dude.
Okay, I'm going to walk over to my pizza. I love cooking, and I love it that you can make these, that you have a garden. For me, that is like,
Are you making a homemade pizza?
yeah, of course. But I mean, that's nothing. Come on. I mean, making a homemade pizza is like taking flour and putting some, water in the flour. There's this one thing that I saw on Facebook a year or so ago about this one guy in, and that's one reason because I've kind of deleted my Facebook account. But this one guy who was making some kind of a pasta thing. I can't remember, but it was so cool the way he was like on a stream in the woods, and he kind of looked. And he had this fire going with his knife, cutting up the meat a little. But it was so typical, like 200 years ago, natural, and taking water from the pond, and then making the dough. So I'm making a pizza, but it's I mean, goodness, you gals can cook like incredible stuff. So I just make a pizza dough and let it raise a little bit, and then throw some tomato stuff on it, and put the things that I like on top of it, and cheese on top, and then it's good. Okay, but I like doing it. Yeah.
Yeah. I've never made a homemade pizza.
Oh, come on. You're serious?
I have never.
Interesting. Okay. I mean, if you've made so many other things, it's just
I just, anything that has to do with yeast, make it rise. I don't know. I just never did do it.
Okay, I've only done. There was another thing I can't remember, but basically, as far as yeast and I don't know why I started. I guess it was having kids and then going out for pizza, or making making a thing that you shove in the oven, that big metal piece. I don't know what you call it in English when you put it. This pan, the whole the size of the oven. So it was just that's fun, is to make it's kind of cool to just to mix it with yeast, and then and then but you whatever, you take flour and water and stuff. I learned from Peter that I should do it a little bit differently, which I will remember maybe the next time, because I've been doing it for 25 years or something like this. The way I do it, just always kind of off the from the hip, shoot from the hip kind of a way. But you just take water and flour and and a little bit of oil and salt. I put salt in it, and then yeast. I used to use dry yeast and mix it all up, and then find a nice warm place and let it rise for a couple of hours. Then pat it back down, and then spread it out on the pan, whatever. And then you've made your tomato sauce in between times, however you'd like to do it. I didn't get some basil, which I think Arizona said I should get that, but I can still basically do that because they have it here in the town grocer. They have that type of stuff. They always have a little bit of fresh basil that you get in a jar. So just put some tomato sauce and the stuff you like on it. Capers and
Capers. What is a caper? I mean, I've seen them before, but I don't even know what it is.
That might be something that is more, like you guys, in the South have just completely beautiful stuff that, that I've only a little bit heard of, but capers are a little, I'll have to, let me look, are a little, I guess they're kind of like the blossom of some kind of plants. They're about the size of a pea, and they're smaller ones, and they capers, and they're salty because they put them in salt to capers. Let me look. Capers, CAPERs. A caper is a Caprice spinosa. Oh, I can see it. I can throw it here. A perennial plant that bears rounded, fleshy leaves and large white to pinkish white flowers. The plant is best known for the edible flower buds. That's what they call the capers. Okay.
Oh.
So I guess here, this is what I let me look, because where they plant shrubbery. I'm looking environment, cultivation. I don't know where they use. I can't. It surprises me that you don't know them. I've
seen them before, but I didn't know what they really are.
Well, here I'll throw that in the Hangout, wherever, just in case you wherever that is. Is that us? I guess that's where we are. Yeah, I think I put that Verdon Gorge. Yeah.
Yeah, I just wrote I can't add Fatso. That's the new one. Well, I actually wrote a new one for the Hangout name, so because I have like 10 Hangouts.
Okay.
That way I won't get them confused. I think Fatso must have his settings on private. I cannot add him to my contacts.
I was on Google, and I don't know that, but look, one of Gornads, or he had a Goron. He had like 5 or 6. Yeah. So I kind of taken Google, because all these people. So I don't know anything about people, so I just dropped them. But then from one of these Hangouts, it said that I blocked one of these guys, like Gorad's 5, and I didn't do that. I mean, I didn't block, and so there's all that crap that's going on that I don't remember physically going to a place that says block this person. I just got people away from my Google Plus page only because I don't know about people. I just don't know these people. You get all these people, man. I spend a lot of time learning about stuff. Just watched another documentary about people that are. Well, I didn't. I've lived a different kind of a life. You guys have lived in the. You guys have been on the front, kind of, so to say, with with the crazies in the world. I've stayed away. I've been a horn player and for a long time with the kids, and didn't want to have anything to do with that at all, and thought for a long time, well, I didn't need to be a part of all of that my whole life, but didn't realize that the further I took myself away from all of that, the worse it got, and the less I really understood how crazy things are. So that's why, getting back here has been just it's been a very educational and important to understand, everyone that's out there, dealing with all the different type of things that are out there, which aren't necessarily all the time very, very, very good. So anyway,
So are you saying you've been sheltered?
Well, yeah, purposefully, because of my personal, let's say, interests in, like, my, let's say, I'll call it spiritual. When you're interested in something, like when you're a kid, like me, like I was, the sports that I did, whether it was pole vaulting or wrestling, it was always it wasn't a team sport. And the thing with the horn playing and whatever I'd been doing, it's always been a very deep interested in something. And then with that, to have connected, in maybe a more distant way with whether it's an orchestra or people, but you're always kind of dealing with something that's also a personal thing, but it doesn't have to do with, really, the everyday, stuff, which always kind of bored me. People and kids, cars, drugs, this, talking, bitching, blah, 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 all that stuff I just, didn't have anything to do with it my whole life. And then growing up, I just kind of was still doing my thing in that regard with the kids, not realizing they're in that mix too. And so it's as a result of reading the Dan Brown's book, Inferno, a few years ago, finding that in Portugal, but at my, my stepmother's house there. I guess stepmother, no, mother-in-law, my first mother. Going to and vacationing there for a few days, taking my oldest son from Germany through France, then into Portugal, and spending a few days there at a beautiful house in the near Porto. With them, and then one of the guest houses, they built a beautiful home they built. Really, that's a success story. The father, the grandfather, the father-in-law, he went to like third grade, and she went to like kindergarten one year. But in that little city that they were, she was working she was a maid for the factory owner, etc. Long story short, when he's 20-some years old, they come to Germany as guest. Foreign, working in factories and stuff, save their money all the time and build this incredibly beautiful home. He dies. They go back, retired. When he's retired, he's having this heart attack kind of thing, thinking he's going to die. So when he finally gets down there and is able to live in this beautiful home with marble, anyway, so I went there to visit her there and found this one book from Dan Brown, Inferno, which talked about noetic science, which talked about the deal with prayer, made me understand how people that think similar thoughts, whatever it is, whether you're into, pink tennis shoes and Pink Floyd or whatever, that's your thing, and people think about the same type of stuff. There's something happening outside of the mind. That's where the whole idea of spirituality comes. Made me accept and realize why, all these different types of people that have a certain type of ideology, whether it's Stalinism or whatever ism it is, you get a lot of people thinking the same thing. There is something that energizes that type of thought outside of the individual mind. And because of that, I find, okay, all the shit that I've been learning all this time, all the NGOs that I've been working with, whether it's the transformation of energy, against the death penalty for this or that, Greenpeace, Amnesty International, all the stuff, that I've been working with, Fellowship of Reconciliation, which, and so there are lots and lots and lots of, Red Cross, all this stuff that I've been involved in this time, while I've been a musician, while I've been teaching my children, while I've been conducting 2 bands, while I've been, teaching 40, 50, 60, or 100 kids in schools, doing that at home, I have been, looking at society from a way far away way, and always trying to figure out, what the problem was. And because of that book, and because of that idea of what noetic science kind of is, said, okay, this is why, people continually think similar types of thoughts. And that's why I kind of decided that, I don't even know if you're still here, come back and to come out of all that and to come into, make that first throw out there with the video, the one video that before that I have to make, throwing it out there and coming on the Hangouts. And as a result, it's been an incredibly beautiful and learning experience, and seeing how all these different types of groups of people are, committed to being part of their group and what they all are in all these different ways. It's been a real interesting and experience. And I've gotten to the point recently where I realize now it's time for me to kind of shut down and get away again and to write again and to produce and to publish all this bullshit. But I'm not ready to do that because I know what's gonna cost, and that's gonna cost me maybe 2 years of nothing other than, not 2 years, but close to it, of just really hard work every day, nothing else. And that, which is going to be wonderful, which I'm going to enjoy, but I'm not ready to do that. It's like, I know how it is to fast for 7 weeks. And when you start doing that, you don't just say, oh, I'm going to start fasting. You know how it's going to be. You got to get into it. So that's kind of where I am right now after coming back and seeing how crazy everything is and seeing you guys who have been on the front lines dealing with all the crazies and the crazy stuff. I take my hat off and say, God bless you. Thank you and I feel sorry had been a part of that. And now having tasted that and realized that I'm going to be able to then go back to my cave and make my videos and write my book and then go to the Palmar or whatever I'll told and retire there someplace and say goodbye. Anyway, I don't even know if anybody is still here. I haven't heard a word. You seem like you're still there, but I haven't heard your doggy or anything.
I'm here. I'm just listening to you.
Sorry. Okay. Sorry. But those capers, yeah, they're kind of, it's just one of the things that I like. I put like olives and I have the capers, which are this plant. I put it there. It's circum-Mediterranean country. It's present almost. Capra spinosa is found in the wild in the Mediterranean, East Africa, Madagascar, Southwestern and Central Asia, the Himalayas, Pacific Islands, Indomalia, and Australia. Okay, that's why you don't get it in the United States, I guess. Okay, it's just because having been here and been to Italy. So capers are kind of you can get them in a little bottle. And they're little things like big as peas, but they're already with salt and different types of things in them. They taste pretty good. And I like to have that, anchovies, olives, and these redder, these peppers, they get rid of hot peppers. You can get not the great big ones that you can get, that you can put like hamburger in them and make a thing out of them. But, the smaller ones that are really spicy, there's thousands of different kinds, peppers and that type, and I'm trying to think of anything else, and then cheese on top. So I've got the tomato stuff, almost, but making a pizza is not a big deal. Making a pizza is it's just something I've always liked.
I would think that by the time you go and you buy all the toppings, the pepperonis and the ham and the cheeses, wouldn't it be just cheaper just to call you in a pizza?
Yeah, it not necessarily, because not really necessarily, because if you look at the size of your onion, your oven, and you put that whole big, the big pan in that slides in there. I don't know what you call it. You can add, the size of your oven, you can put that slide in that pan that's square kind of, or a rectangular thing, so you can make it like you want it. So thinking about that, whether it's, so it might be cheaper, but maybe not. If you get all those ingredients, you can make 2 or 3 or 4 or 5. These could be pans of pizzas. It's not going to be, it's the price, but it's also making it, it's doing something. It's, the time that you spend, and just, it's just making the tomato sauce, it's something that you're doing. And it's like, some people, like you make, wouldn't you say, hey, isn't it better just to buy tomatoes? You're out there in your garden, you're planting this stuff and you're thinking about it and you're watching it, you're watering them. Cucumbers, zucchinis, all these different things you're doing, the beans, the peas, all the tomatoes.
Yeah, you're right. Gosh, can you imagine making a homemade pizza with homemade tomato paste and stuff?
Oh, yeah. I mean, with homemade tomatoes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And there you are, because because some people just like tomatoes on it, cheese on it. That's it. You
Yeah.
have it, and so you make your own, dough. It's fun. It's just nice to mix it together and let it settle, and then push it out on the pan. Then you put your tomatoes on top. Someone just there's mozzarella. You can just put mozzarella or whatever. You put your cheese on top, and with basil. That's all you need. It's tomatoes, basil, and cheese and stuff. And you got a great pizza. And it's with your own tomato sauce. Wow, that's cool. Yes, most definitely. Without a doubt, that would be really, really, really nice. And that's kind of that one video, and I can't remember exactly what it was because it had something to do with pasta. Because it was in America. It was like in the South, and the guy had cool boots on, like worn and it was a very nice the cameras were good, and there was a little bit of music and the close-ups of the oven that he was using. It was just wood. It was all good. But seeing that stuff that he made, yeah, it's so nice you can smell the fire. So yeah, so making a homemade pizza with your homemade tomato sauce.
Yeah.
That's cool. I like it. And so that's it's just it's been with kids, I've had kids and always had to cook. And they're all grown and gone now, but so I used to really enjoy cooking. And that was one of the things we do. I did, just whatever. And then only on this part you want that stuff, only on that side, da. I don't want any onions. I don't want oh my God, yeah, okay. So pizza's fun. Pizza's easy. It's fun. I don't know. You've made so many other dishes.
Oh yeah.
Go ahead and give a pizza a try once.
Yeah. For sure.
Well, I mean, whatever you're doing, it doesn't matter. But right now, I've got the the tomatoes are finished. Everything's finished, but I'm at this point where I'm not hungry, so I don't want to put it in the oven yet. And I just called my colleague because this morning, at work, I knew that I didn't have to work tomorrow. And so I kind of brought that up. I was kind of surprised because I didn't look at the service plan. So I said, hey, I don't have to work. I don't have to come in tomorrow. And he kind of said, oh, let's make a deal. Can you come in for half the? So, and I kind of pushed him off, kind of thinking, no, I don't want to come in tomorrow. But to realize, maybe he's, he was talking about, he has a friend that's dying of cancer, and this other, he has to, like, hey, guy, okay, whatever. So I said, because last month, because of the way things are with the work that I'm doing,
yeah,
this whole year since September, or basically since around September, we have 8 weeks off, 6 weeks off. So it's July, middle of July, we shut down. And since beginning of September until now, September, October, November, December, January, February, March, it's been like 6 months. I've had during the Christmas time, there's a couple concerts, but nothing to do. That's why I grew this fucking beard because I only shave when I really kind of have to work because of the horn on the lip and stuff. So, but finally we're starting to work again. In the last month, I get my service plan for the whole month. And I only had 2 services. And I said, hey, I want to go visit my mom, maybe. Can you do these 2 services for me? And he jumped in. So this morning, him saying, John, can you come in maybe tomorrow? We'll, only half the time, da-da-da-da-da-da. And I said, oh, fuck, man. I said, no. I don't. So I just sent him a email, and he said, no, I'm good. So I don't have to do anything tomorrow. I got this pizza ready to go in. I'd like to send you a piece.
It'll be cold by the time it gets here.
I guess so. That kind of reminds me of one of the things I think I mentioned that I do want to do, and that is if looking here, I do want to go to the ocean again this summer at La Gourp. It's just south of the Gironde Delta, which is above Bordeaux.
Sounds exotic.
It's not really as exotic as you'd think, but what is nice about that whole area is it's not built up. France has some, they have some incredible, they have some incredible, I've never been there, like Miami were really, nice, richy type of things. But this whole area, supposedly a princess was there 200 years ago. I probably told you. And she looked at that and said, okay, this is so beautiful. I want all the French people to be able to enjoy this, and it shouldn't be built up. So from that area, which is just south of the Gironde, is a river where Merlot red wine is in that area, just from that Mundung, where the delta, down about 200 kilometers, nothing is built up. And it's just the ocean. And you have like every 10 or 8 kilometers or 12 kilometers or 20 kilometers, you'll have a city that's like 3 or 4 kilometers off the coast with some kind of access. And in that whole area, there's a couple of these campsites, and there's this one that we went to. And France is a camping paradise. People from all over Europe will always go to France because they've just got, they call it camping à la ferme, which is on the farm or on the land, and just anybody can have their own little campsite, rent out their land, and then so you have all of these different sites. So like the first one we used to go there were always these Dutch, they would always, everyone from Holland would be in France because they'd all come down from Holland. So we spent a lot of time in France and stumbled onto this one place, which has been now 20 some years 25 years that I used to go, and so it was like every day we would go there every year. So the idea that I had was, it was always a fun thing to pack up all the kids in the bus and leave at like 5 o'clock in the evening. Because in France, the trucks stop driving. They cannot drive after 10 o'clock at night until like 5 o'clock in the morning. And then if you're going through all of France, you can go through all the small cities. You don't have to pay toll you don't go on the highways. You can go through the little cities. You can go straight and you don't have any traffic. And you go. So we leave at 5 or 6 o'clock in the evening and then finally get there like 11, 12 hours, 10 o'clock after a rest and get to this campsite. So that's what we used to do. And it was always the great thing with all the kids, driving through France, stopping, having coffee, jumping around, getting things up. And so one thing was, what I want to do was like, hey, sometime during the wintertime, just to pack up all the kids and just when I knew that I'd have like a Friday and Saturday off and Sunday off, pick up the kids on a Friday and drive over to France, because it was the way was always cool to get there. And then to go to the ocean. Because the thing of it is, the ocean at that area is always really cold, even though it's hotter than Hades outside. The ocean, and that's a cool thing, that the ocean is really cold. It always takes a little bit to get in there. It's really cold because the outside is so hot. You can look to the left, to the right. You can look up. You don't see anything but beach and the dunes behind you. And so that was always nice. So I thought, it doesn't matter. Which, in the summertime when we're there, when it's raining and it's nighttime, we go to the beach because if it's raining, the rain is usually warmer than the water that you're getting rain on. So we're swimming in the ocean with the waves and everything. So I thought I want to go there one time just to drive all the way to La Gourp with the kids, jump into the water, jump out of the water, get back and drive back to Freiburg, another 1,100 kilometers. 1,100, 1,100. That was one of the things I want to do with it, and that kind of has to do with why I guess I have time till tomorrow to make that pizza, because I don't have to work tomorrow, so it's all ready to go. And
I thought you already were making it.
Everything's finished. The dough's finished. The tomato paste is finished, and the Everything is ready, but all I have to do is spread the dough out, beat it one more time, put it on the pan and do that. But I'm not going to do that yet because I've got time. It's 6:25 right now and I'm not hungry.
Oh, so you eat late?
Well, I'll make it. Yeah, I don't have to make it now, but it'll only take 20 minutes to make, to put it in the oven. So I'll do that later.
I'd rather eat late too. I probably shouldn't do that, but I go all day without eating anything, and then at night, whenever I settle in, that's when I want to start eating.
Yeah. Are your children living close to where you?
No. 2 hours away.
All right. Oh, that's okay. It's kind of like me then, yeah.
Yeah.
There's Berlin. There's Stuttgart. There's so that was the weirdest thing for me. Like 4 years ago, 5 years ago, when I realized kids were all gone, and I've been a parent, with 6, 7 kids, 8 step kids, whatever you call included, since 1984, first child. That's the only thing that you think about is life, being responsible. Then comes the next one, and your brain is always geared at what's going on in society. How can I? Where are they thinking, et cetera, et cetera. And so, like 4 years ago now, at one point, I realized, John, your kids are all grown and gone. And it took me about a year. And that's kind of what I'm getting into finally now. It took me a year to finally stop that whole mental process of, dealing with the mothers and who they're dealing with and whether they should have in this type of music instrument or that teacher and all that stuff, dealing nonstop 24 hours a day, thinking about, what's out there in the world and what you don't want them connected to and everything. And so it took me like 4 years ago, it hit me. It took me a whole fucking year to finally, and I wasn't prepared to be the father that we get. But once that happens, it took me at least a year or more longer to finally tune that out and say, I don't have to be that anymore. I can start thinking about myself in a way.
Yeah, for sure. You got grandkids?
Not yet. My oldest son has married and she has a child. So in a way, technically, but no, not yet. None of them have children. I know it'll happen, but not yet.
I have 2. Didn't think I was ever going to get any. My daughter was almost 30 before she had a baby.
Well, that's kind of where I am. I mean, my oldest, born in 84, my second oldest, I have to respond. I did. She just got married, but I don't think there'll be children happening there for a while, even though she's a little bit older. I mean, she's like 30 something, but they're dealing with other issues. She's a lawyer and whatever. They're living in Berlin, and she's working. Wait a second.
My son doesn't have any kids. He's 25.
He's 25. He doesn't. Is he married?
No.
Okay. Well, 25 is kind of still young. I mean, I guess, in the olden days, we would get married off for 12, 13, 14 years old or whatever. Aristocrats, that was, 200 years ago. So things have changed, but kind of right now seems like, the way everything's changed, 25 is kind of maybe the age or soon after within the next 2 or 5 years where people do then start having children. The way society is and everything, it's so crazy. And so much change happening. It's so he's 25, but has no children and is not married.
Right. He's not. He's had a couple girlfriends. One was long term, and when they broke up, I don't know, he just hasn't been interested. You know, my daughter was, she was probably about 27 when she got married.
Yeah, it's it's funny. I was just thinking about that today, and that is how society has changed. And it's weird because it seems to me, now I might be all wrong, because again, I've lived a sheltered life, because of what I've been interested in and stayed away from, not really, I've never gone to clubs, never, I'm a horn player. I've worked on my teeth my whole life. I'm a research, I do this type as I practice the horn like 12, 15 hours a day, every day, and you take care of the kids and do stuff. So I've always, been more of this type of thing. But it seems to me, it used to be that people would fall in love, and people, like, you would be with a person, and that relationship that you had with that other person, I guess it was just like the most important thing. And then the idea would be to have children, have a family. And now that whole idea of I being with another person has been eroded away to kind of like social media, if I can jump way far away from what I'm thinking about, where it's no longer what me and this other person think, but what all these other people are thinking about, whether we belong to this crew or that or whatever. And it's no longer me and this other person like it was, until 60, 80 years ago. It used to be, you would have a relationship, and you would, through that relationship, through thick and thin or whatever, usually you would work. But before you got to the point to make that decision, it was an understanding thing that you're going to work with that. But now that whole idea of me and the other person kind of no longer exists in that regard, but me, the other person, and this whole kind of a mentality we're dealing with, whether it's, this sexual orientation, this, ideology, this thing, it's what all these other people think and how we fit into that, to where we as a person no longer are important, but what everyone thinks, and that's where that divide and conquer and PSOC and all that other stuff come in, where I'm a little bit, saddened to think that, that kind of has been, seems to me, purposefully, ripped away from, life through television, the game shows, this, whatever it is, this, no one's, so it's clear that at least, people are taking a little bit more time before they start to have families. But even with that, geez, it's kind of, Christmas when I was growing up, and our family has, my mom and dad's problems as they had them, as bad as they were, it was still some kind of that idea that we have a family, that we have siblings, and we're together, and that's what we're working on. That seems to me, I was just thinking about that exact same thing just today, and I was thinking, how did all this happen? Since the 60s, 50s, everything has kind of in a way gone to hell, where family really is whatever is it's kind of a joke in a way. Not a joke, but it's not the big deal. The big deal is whether you're at the club or whether you're watching the news, as far as who's on People magazine and who's talking, all of this other stuff that has nothing to do with cultivating any type of a feeling of life, tomatoes or pizza making or that type of a thing. That's all kind of gone. And so yeah, I don't have any grandchildren yet, and I don't see that happening in the next 4 or 5 years, probably. But I do want to get to the ocean again, and this summer, which made me think again where I kind of was mentioning to drive to that ocean. I don't know why I started thinking about that. I'm
Be
looking at
nice. I haven't been to the ocean in a long time.
you know the ocean. Are you talking like the Gulf of Mexico or to the Atlantic, to Florida or the East Coast? Where have you been? Where have you been?
I've been to Myrtle Beach a couple times. That's the
Where,
Atlantic.
where's the Myrtle Beach? Is that in Florida?
South Carolina.
Okay.
And so then I went to Tampa. That's on the Gulf of Mexico. So I've seen them both. And I've been, my goodness, St. Petersburg, maybe is the name of it. It's when you first cross over into Florida. I went down there to pick up a friend. And we ended up staying a couple days.
Well, the ocean. I love the ocean. And what I like, I mean, I've seen, the ocean in in Hawaii or this.
Oh gosh.
I mean, where
I'll go to. I want to go to Hawaii. That's on my bucket list.
I guess I would, but this one atoll, which I recently weren't we there? This Palm. I have to write down. It's Palm and then YRA. I have to look. I've got the picture of it. PALMYRA Palmyra. It looks like the kind of place that I'd like to go to. Let me look at that. Yeah, I think PLM with their wait Palm. I can't believe it. Palm Atoll. Okay, let me know. Palm Atoll. It's just so freaking beautiful. And it says it, I think I posted it. You've seen this, what I'm talking about. It's I think we talked about this yesterday or whenever it was, but let me throw it in the hangout. Where are you? I find it just so that in case, who knows you watch. But this area, when I first saw this a couple years ago, and I stumbled, I don't know how I stumbled on, and then I looked at, there was this map of the area, and and let me look and see if it's on that site there. And it was so cool because what it was it was during the Second World War or around that area or maybe before or whatever, but they had let me look to see they had here let me look if it's it's there. It's called the approaches to Palmyra Atoll, the soundings. They show the depth of the ocean, everything. And I just thought about this. And then here, the landing gear. If you look at that thing, that whatever, it shows that one picture. And looking at the soundings and look at how they were naming these penguins split here. You look at this, and someone had taken the time with a boat and gone on out there and with the sonar thing, found out how deep things were. And then to realize that atoll is basically the tip top of a volcanic reaction from the bottom of the ocean. And they go from that atoll and they see the atoll where you're sticking out on land, dry land, and it's a mountain that goes way, 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 way down, way, way far down, far, far, far down. It's a great big huge volcanic mountain. And so I was looking out that thinking, wow, while somebody's doing this, it would be someplace really secluded. I'd like to be there. And then look at the modern pictures and to realize that that's been 70 years ago and the rise of the ocean. And that what you saw in the soundings is no longer, a third of that is all gone because of erosion and because of the ocean and stuff. But still, those pictures look really cool. And the best thing is population 4. That's some kind of my place. It's like, wow, it was like, yeah, good. That was, on an ocean there. And I thought that was
I'm gonna grab me a cup of coffee, John.
All right. See you in a minute. All righty.
Are you still here, John?
Yeah. I was looking at I was looking at something about the Palmyra Atoll. Interesting. I didn't know that they've been somebody from CNN has been there and whatever. Cool. Yeah. Yeah. You got back with your coffee?
Yeah. My coffee pot's slow. I didn't sleep too good last night. I woke up too many times.
Hmm. That's interesting because
Like every 2 hours I was awake.
gosh, it's as far as sleep goes, that's interesting. I don't I don't have it's been many decades almost where I've used to have what would be considered a normal sleeping pattern. Um, so I don't, because I understand. So I just, I kind of sleep when I'm tired, but it doesn't have to do with any part of the day anymore, especially now with, the internet.
Yeah, for sure.
Mm.
Internet's messed me up. But it seems like it doesn't matter how much I sleep during the day. It still doesn't make you feel as rested as if you sleep in the night. For some reason. When I sleep during the day, I just feel worse.
Well, that probably has, I don't know, to do with a couple of things. And one of them is, during the day when you mentally know that it's daytime and the light is out there and people are doing things, and that's the time of the day where your brain is taking in the 30 million bits of information with the five senses, where, in the nighttime is the time where when you realize, oh, the day has gone down, things are shutting down, the everything's closed, and now it's time to turn it off, and you're no longer taking in information. That's where when the sleep happens, that's kind of the most active time of the mind, where all of that past daily um, absorbing of information is processed. So I understand. So if I'm thinking, so if you're, not sleeping at that time, that's kind of how I've understood me to be, having when you've shut down the world mentally and saying, now I'm no longer taking in, information, you realize that there's so much stuff that that sleep doesn't allow itself to happen because you're thinking too strongly. You're thinking too much about that stuff. It bucks up and it isn't allowed to, like if you think about people 80 years ago, no internet, whatever. We would go to sleep at 9 or 10 o'clock at night. We've done stuff, and the whole world was asleep at that time. And we'd wake up in the morning, and it would go on. And now, I don't think that it's a bad thing that you're having a sleeping problem. I think it's possibly a good thing.
You
That
did?
pardon?
You do?
Well, it's a normal. I don't good and I would say it's yeah good in the sense that what um what your brain has been dealing with in the past, whether it's been 10 or 12 or 5 or 20 or 30 years, and what you're thinking about now during the day and the new information, it's not allowing that to just digest itself into the past, what the nighttime, the sleep time is for. The sleep time has a purpose, and it's shutting down the outer stimuli, the outer, your hearing, your sensing, all that stuff, and to turn it off although it's not turned off. You can still feel if it's cold. You pull a hole in a blanket. You can hear if a thunderclaps. You can hear your five senses are still working, but your brain has said, I'm not going to pay attention to them. And when it says I'm not going to pay attention to them, what it's doing is taking in all of that material that has been absorbed during the day and processing it with all the stuff that has been dedicated to that's a bad thing, that's a good thing, whatever. So what I'm saying is, let's say that you've until 5 years ago or 12 years ago or 3 years ago or whatever, a year ago or 6 months or whatever, you've had a certain way of thinking, and that is your subconscious mind. It's a huge, like, the ocean. It's a huge thing. So it's for me, that's how it happened with me. It's when then I'm dealing with stuff on a daily basis, and I shut down the world at nighttime where I'm supposed to be sleeping, and I do go to sleep for an hour or 2 hours, but there's so much information that can't be integrated into the past because it doesn't relate to it, doesn't correlate to it necessarily. That's where the wake up thing happens, where your subconscious mind turns that off and says, hey, your subconscious mind says, your senses, the hearing, the thing that turns off, and either you have a nightmare or something breaks through and you can't sleep anymore. And that's why it's a good thing, only because in the sense that, there is something different happening, as opposed to 10 years ago, 12 years ago, 15, 18, 30, whatever years, how everything, this is the way life is, this is the way life is, this is the way life is. Then you're taking in stuff, then you go to sleep at night, or you turn off the world and you rest, and it's trying to fit that into, the past. Doesn't fit though. And that's why sleep doesn't work. And so that's kind of where I say it's a good thing to at least to think in that regard, that I am dealing with so much new stuff, and it's not bad, and the past is not bad or whatever, but it's, to become, that's what I kind of call thinking about becoming conscious aware of, what the mind is, dealing with. So that's kind of how I would say, for me, it was a good thing. And that started happening, 30 years ago, where, at least around 30 years ago, where, you used to have to go to sleep and you would worry about the next day, and you would turn off the day, then you'd wake up and then, oh, what am I going to do? I have the appointment, and you'd wake up. That's been gone for over 30 years. I don't have any more days like that. That was a long process where the whole, turning on that day would go right through the whole night into the next day. And that would take like 2 or 3 days till I finally get tired of thinking that one thought. And that 3-day type of thing would continue until it would turn into a week or 2-week type of a thing where you're sleeping a little bit. And then it, eventually got turned to many weeks, many months, and then to many years where you're kind of, and that's kind of where I am right now in the past 3 or 4 years with the whole Trump thing and everything else that started. That was a whole new thing for me. And I'm getting to that point right now, starting to back work up. It's starting to work up. And I said, I've had this whole months off right now, nothing to do as much. But I'm getting to that point where I'm going to be able to turn that all off and do what I kind of planned on doing 10 years ago in regard to whatever, figuring some stuff out. But, my last wife got in the way, which was important to learn about. So I don't, all I'm going to say, I don't think it's negative. I think it's a great thing. If you can take advantage of that, personally, for me, speaking from my own personal understanding, if I don't see that as, if I don't see that, oh, I can't sleep, oh my goodness, no, you don't have a problem. There are things going on that just don't correlate with all of the past, which doesn't mean all of the past is good or bad, and what we're dealing with is good or bad. But how can I think about that, in a in a conscious thing? If you're waking up after 3 hours, it sounds to me you're whatever things you're doing some. You mentioned I don't know whether it was opioids or whatever changes or whatever. That's all. This type of a change is a beautiful newness that if it can continue to go, and you can't be afraid of it, and to understand that's how the mind works. That's then to let it go for another 12 months, 60 months, and to go with it, and to and to let it bring you, but not be afraid of it. That's where I think it's a good thing. That's where that's what life's all about for me, is to grow kind of in not with all that stuff that you don't understand, but to fear it, but to understand it has a meaning, and to let it come, and to not be weak, not be worried, not saying not saying it's bad or it's not good, but let it go, let it be it, and learn how it is, not 3 days from now, but 3 months from now, 6 hours from now, 15 hours. It's the same thing. It's a never-ending process of what I'm thinking differently now, as opposed to what I used to think 30 years ago or 12 years ago or 5 months ago or whatever. And to let that continually grow. It's great. It's a wonderful thing. That's how I say it's a good idea.
No, I actually don't take opioids anymore. I was taking Suboxone. Do you know what that is?
I have to pass, because I have, when I used to think of opioids, allow me to explain my stupidity.
Suboxone is actually a treatment for opioid addiction. And so apparently the FDA tries to make people believe that by taking something that's about as strong as heroin to get you off of basically synthetic heroin. Isn't opioids basically synthetic heroin?
I just wanted to say, yeah, what the little I know about all of this, and I just looked up the
Look, you think about it. Heroin comes from the poppy plant, right?
Right.
And so does opioids. So kind of would be the same thing.
Oh yeah, and there's no question that that's what I wanted to. That's I mean, what I'm saying is, I just looked up the opioid, epidemic in 1904 or 1840s, the Civil War, and goes on and on and on and on. So, and you think about, the Nazi Germany, they were taking all different types of drugs, and whether it's right now in the American military, 17 or 18 or 20 drugs, no, all of this stuff has nothing to do with, making tomatoes and looking at that wannabe river, which maybe should never be a river. It should stay a wannabe, because who wants to be a fucking river? What I'm saying is, so looking at, yes, there's been lots and lots of money, in China, the opium problem in China, I guess 200 years ago, I don't know when it was, I have to look, but this amount of, this has been going on for a while, and it's been and just because whatever, yeah. So to be really stupid again, I was thinking, when I'm hearing opioids, I'm thinking cocaine, I'm thinking heroin, not realizing that the pharmaceutical companies in the 1850s, 1870s, 1920s, 1930s, when they started with heroin, they've been in on creating these things for whatever reason.
Yes, of course they have.
And we have today, an incredible problem with so many, like, I just,
you know what I've been using, don't you? I've been using kratom. It's a leaf from a tree that they grind up, and then It's for all kinds of stuff, besides what I'm using it for. It lowers blood glucose. It's good for all kinds of. It's been used for like over 2,000 years in Asia, and so the FDA is all over it right now. Here, trying to ban it, make it illegal, and say that it's dangerous and all this and that. But you know what I really think? I really think that they know that it works, and they're threatened by it because they know that people will actually get off of their pharmaceuticals and they will lose money. That's what I think.
There's no doubt. One of the books that I do have to finish, which I'm jumping on off a tangent, I'm digressing or whatever, is the true story of milk, and how a natural milk, and how the
Simply.
milk, cow's milk. It's a book. It's the same type of a deal, dealing with cow non-pasteurized milk and raw milk and all this. It's the same with you big companies out there that are making tons and tons of money off of these drugs. Of course, they don't want that. And to jump again a little bit away from that is how humanity itself, dealing with what reality is also being bombarded. Don't think about that guy. Don't think about these things. Think about this. Do your whatever. So yes, I agree without a doubt. And for example, I know this one person from Africa. They're having this cot, this type of a plant that they're chewing there in Africa, and it's kind of to the same degree as coffee or something. You chew on a plant, and but it's all part of the deal.
Mhm.
And so I'm sitting there, trying this stuff out with these people, and it's like I'm chewing a piece of a bark or a piece of a, whatever, and nothing. I know the difference. If you've smoked weed, you have to smoke it 5 or 6 times. When I was 15, I smoked, dope, weed, and it takes a while. Nevertheless, that cot in America is considered like the worst type of a drug and a blah blah blah. And it's a fucking piece. It's a root of a fucking plant, and it's not the same fucking thing as alcohol or fucking heroin or cocaine and all this other stuff. So yes,
Kratom is just an awesome thing. It's all natural, and it gives me a mood lift. It makes me have good energy, gives me focus, and above and beyond everything else is I don't have any kind of withdrawals at all
wow.
from the other shit that I was on. So it works.
Hey, I
It's
hear you.
not suppressant.
No,
And
I hear you, and
I put a documentary in the back chat, the hangout.
Mhm.
And when you get time, watch that. It's called Plant Pure.
I got it. Plant Pure Nation.
Yes, watch that. And even though it's not about what we were discussing, you'll see how those lobbyists go in on something when they feel threatened. And it sort of shows you how the whole thing works. Because that was actually in Kentucky that Plant Pure was filmed. And it shows how our government works. This guy was trying to just get the word out, that humans don't need to eat meat to be healthy. And he goes to, goes to Frankfurt and tries to pass a bill through the government. And oh my goodness, all those guys were just fighting him tooth and nail.
Oh,
Yeah, that, they were scared that we were not going to be eating their dairy and butter and meats. That you just see what I'm talking about.
yeah, absolutely. No, but let me cut it to the chase right now, okay? Because I'm hearing absolutely and agree wholeheartedly everything that you're saying, and know about these lobbyists, whether it's the nuclear power plants, whether it's the, the pharmaceuticals, and whether it's the pharmaceuticals that are, giving antibiotics to pigs and chickens and all this other stuff. It's crazy.
Oh my God, I know. And when a person takes antibiotics, doesn't that make you resistant to them? After a while. So
right, and it doesn't work after a while. Yeah,
stuff is coming from, because we've had so much antibiotics from our food that our bodies are resistant to them.
Yeah, and they don't work. That's it.
Yeah.
And so it's the same thing. They, whether it's that or chemistry, biology, they have right now the chickens that we eat. Like in McDonald's or a chicken wing place, or where the Kentucky Fried Chicken or whatever it is, they grow 62 times faster than normal.
And how could that be without some kind of?
That is through, if you can turn a Chihuahua into a pit bull, that's through genetic, that's through lots of different, but this is insane. So of course, all the people who are not thinking about this stuff, as soon as somebody comes in and says, hey, Croton or whatever is a good thing, they're going to get fucked up, because all of that money is out there. But cut it to the chase, again, is what I've understood. And I have to give my father credit for this. And I hear where you're going. And I say that the human mind or whatever, it's to be able to get away from any type of foreign substance. That's why I like to fast for weeks at a time. Get away from, carbonation in my drink, no sugar, and no coffee, no tobacco, no weed, no alcohol, and so when the human mind and the human body can get in tune with itself and get that complete high from just being itself and giving it what it needs. You're not fat, I'm fat, but giving it what it needs to live and to function, there's another type of a high there that is the best high. So going away from, whether it's, in Afghanistan, they have, I don't know if it's 10 million or 5 million or 3 billion, heroin addicts, there are 300,000 children that die a year, whatever. And, that's why the Russians were there. That's why the Americans were the 90% of, the world's opioid is made there, to get away from all this stuff eventually is.
Why do you think that the military guards those poppy fields so,
Because come on. I mean, yeah. Sometimes, okay, let me say something.
Right Pharma now. Has to have those.
But let me say something. Sometimes I'm really wondering, because I know this stuff.
And I know this stuff.
Yeah, and I know you know this stuff.
How can so many people be so blind?
Because the military is using, with the government, and this is the swamp deal that we're talking about, it has been, of the 600 billion that we're using right now, 5 billion, 10 billion of that is used to ship drugs. I mean, it's part of the deal. I mean, and so because the military and the politics and the church and the pharmaceutical companies and the car companies, it's all mixed in together that have a part to do with that. Which nobody thinks about. We only go to church and think, oh, the church is a good thing. We only go to the politicians, oh, the politicians are a good thing. We only go to the military is a good thing. We don't realize that all of this stuff that we're trying to fight against is mixed in with all these different things. So yeah, so whether it's the Vietnam War, and sending kids home, dead kids with stuffed in their guts.
Did you know that last year there was more drug overdoses in just last year than the whole Vietnam War? The entire Vietnam War did not have as many casualties as drug overdoses just last year alone.
Well, I know that there are like 60 it's funny. It's because it's the same number, but it's 64,000 deaths on opioids, meaning illegal drugs, and there's 64,000 with
No, not just illegal drugs. No, it's big pharma too.
Okay,
They
let me
put
talk.
out so many pills, and then they
Right.
want to arrest people for.
Oh yeah, no. This is all So what I'm trying to say, I'm saying there's two stats out there. There's 64,000 for illegal drugs, opioids, and there's 64,000 for legal, pharmaceutical drugs, opioids, whatever. So we have like 120,000 people died a year. How many people died in the Vietnam War? I don't know.
Well,
Total.
I'm not sure, but I know I read that stat somewhere that just last year alone, there was more deaths than from just drugs.
Yeah, and this has been going on for 30 years after the war. We had maybe
I saw this on the news the other evening. They were talking about this little town that's right across the river from Kentucky, and there's like 3,000 people in this town, and just in like 1 year, these two pharmacies filled 20 million opioids.
Okay,
20 million people
let me
for 3,000 people. But I'm sure there was people going to the doctors there from all over, because just where I live, I know of a dozen people that would go, by there to the doctor. So I'm sure there was people going from all over the place to those doctors, because it seems like those little pill mills, that's what I call a doctor that will prescribe pills to anyone, is a pill mill. You find this doctor, and it doesn't matter what's wrong with you. You walk in, and you can say, my back hurts, and you write you a prescription for 120, Lorcets.
And this is where I say and I have, family in southern Indiana, and they told me some stuff that I couldn't really believe till now. But I'm just looking at the stats right here with Vietnam War deaths. I threw this on there. So we're talking right now like 120,000 deaths a year in America with illegal and pharmaceutical. There's 64,000 and there's 64,000. And this is not included.
I didn't hear the double number. I just heard 64,000 in total.
Okay, well, there's maybe I'm confusing that with the death of children that have been, thrown to the satanic cult type of stuff, where there's 460,000 children that go missing each year. That is also connected. So maybe I'm wrong.
I think it's more like 800,000 children go missing each year.
Okay, my point is right now, if we're thinking about right now the wars that we've had, I'm looking right here, and this is the American Revolutionary War, 1775 to 1783, 8,000 deaths. Korean War from 1950 to 1950, 33,746 deaths. Vietnam War from 1955 to 1975, 47,424 deaths. The World War I, they don't have it, the World War II here, 53,000 deaths. These were the total, amounts of each of those wars. And we're dealing with, let's call it 70,000 deaths a year because of opioids. And nobody's talking about this.
I know. It's really sad.
And if you do, and you're saying this croton is a good thing, you are going to get murdered or dumped on or killed because you're saying something that those companies don't want you to talk about. So I understand that. 6 more rows. I have to look at these because it has to be World War II. Northern Chesapeake War, First War, Crusaders War, Daggett War, right? World War II. Okay, in World War II, there were 291,557 deaths. Let me look. Is it deaths? Combat, other deaths total. Let me look. So in the whole World War II, I don't know. Total was 405,000, but each year, 460,000 children go missing. We have these drug epidemics, and they say from the 460,000 children that go missing, 90% of them are counted as runaways. But hello, if your child is run away, there's a problem in society. You know, why is it run? It's drugs or whatever. And so if only 460,000, if only 90%, I have to do the math. If those are fed to the, I don't even want to say Podesta, Clinton, whatever, all this bullshit that's going on that we don't talk about, this satanic cult, this snuff films, this huge dark web stuff that's going on, I understand that it's real. And just like you say, as soon as you start talking about, because there's so much money, they're gonna jump on your shit like you're the freako. And it takes a while. So that's where I'm saying, Denise, that if you're waking up at night not sleeping, it's a good thing, because whatever's happened is making your past, your present is taking that past, and it's saying, hello, there's something new coming, whatever. Let it go. Don't fight it. But it's all good. Berlin blockade, the Chinese Civil War. I have to look at these different wars. All right, I have to, whatever, because like I say, World War II, only 291,000 deaths. American Civil War, 212 deaths. Why did I get, the Revolutionary War, America was 8,000. War of 1812, 2,260. Mexican-American War, 1,733. Second Seminola War, I don't know what that is, 1,500. Korean, 33,000. Vietnam, 47,000. World War I, which of course came before Korean and Vietnam, 53,000. But we're dealing with every year in America. And the last time I was in the States, the second time I had to go pick up prescription drugs for my mom. She's seeing like 12 or 15 fucking drugs. And none of them she should be taking. She should be eating potatoes and walking and doing all, but she can't because of her back. But I'm there. And I'm waiting in line, and somebody drives in, and they get a prescription. They get their order. It's like for $400 or $600. And I'm thinking, Jesus fucking Christ, what that poor person has to do is has to pay this much for, for hepatitis or for whatever blood pressure. I didn't realize that's part of the scam, that person that has gotten that much is then going to go out then and sell all of that bullshit and make twice or three times that money off of that stuff. And that's the gimmick. So yes, not only is the drug illegal thing completely mixed in with politicians, with this and all sex and all this other crazy bullshit, but the pharmaceuticals is just as well. It's the same bullshit. And that's why, if you're finding freedom, don't worry that you are going to find flack. But what you need to do is gauge in what your personal interests are. If your personal interests are living in peace, then don't talk about it. Then just understand it and be peaceful. But the more you put into it, the more you need to learn in order to deal with how big the problem is. And that's the point, because, you've got this figured out, but you can't deal with each doctor in your city and then the next city and the politician and the priest and the police guy chief. You're dealing with huge, structures and, systems out there that are going to fuck you over unless you understand all of them and can checkmate them. Or just say check and wait for them to think they're going to checkmate you and then to fucking checkmate them or not, or you'll get your head cut off. But I mean, so go, but and I'm not saying not saying anything. I'm just saying understand that maybe they say take you take 3 steps ahead, you get knocked back 4 steps or whatever. Understand to take 3 steps ahead but be careful, only get knocked 2 steps down or whatever, and help the whole thing or whatever. You have to understand that if you're going to move into this type of a sphere, you have to know all of the different things, or expect to be, depressed and unhappy because you're not going to find friends. You're not going to find happiness. You're not going to find the best partner because no one of those other motherfuckers have any idea of what you're talking about. And they're going to be turned on like that other guy, like you, and they're going to be turned on, oh, fuck them. He's a bad guy. So unless you're, I don't want to say unless you're willing, but just understand that you're doing a good thing, whether it's 2 hours sleep at night or whatever, you're doing a good thing. And just don't expect too much. And every resistance that you get, like at night, you can't sleep, accept it as a good thing. And not expect to have the answer in 3 seconds from now. Because it's more complicated. And you can only help by continue, not 3 seconds, but 300 seconds, 3,000 seconds. I think there's an hour has 3,600 seconds. A day, 5 days, you're good. It's all good. Keep on going. And don't worry. And grow and help everything you can. It's all good. I'm about ready to go over to my pizza, but I don't want to. I just washed my hands off. Got all that funky pasta. It kind of sticks to your hairs on your hands and stuff. It's already. I got my hands clean. But I just love them. Yeah, I got my pasta ready to put out there. And I had to go. They say in Germany, they have a Sprechwort, a way of saying a saying. They have lots of sayings. Germans are really good with with old sayings, like they say, to kill 2 birds with 1 stone or something like that kind of a thing. I don't know what you call that in English, but Germans, they have like a billion of those. They have many of those, and they all go down to a certain point in history and times and everything else. And shit, I was going to say one of them, and I've forgotten it. Not to kill 2 birds with my pizza. Dang. Oh, shit, man. I kind of lost my... I kind of... The weather? Oh, give me a minute here. Anywho. Tomatoes? Gosh, I don't know. I like your hair. You came on camera one day. And it was like, wow. So it's good to see that I know that I'm talking with you. And that's a good thing. I'm serious.
I'm gonna take this call. I'm gonna take air. Don't leave yet. Don't leave.
I'll just turn my thing off and go over to my pizza.
Oh, wait a second. I want to.
All right, I'm here.
Let me tell everybody buying the YouTube. Ryan is getting ready to start a stream, you guys, in a minute, I think. Let me make sure.
Oh, you're doing a YouTube now, too?
Yeah.
Oh, shit. I hope I haven't said anything not appropriate for YouTube.
Oh, no. It's all good.
All right. Okay. I haven't. No, I didn't.
There's a call. There's another call going on in the old hangout that Ryan had last.
All right.
got Kitty and Jonesy and Chino in there. I might go over there and join that in a few minutes.
All right. Should I do that too? Is that what you're saying, or whatever? Or should I just?
Hold on just a second.
All right. I didn't know this was a YouTube. I have to be careful about.